No, that thing on my face came back.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, it started growing again, but in a different spot that was kind of connected to the old spot. So this time, like, I didn't let it get big. I just went to the doctor.
Yeah.
So another round of antibiotics, which just is murdering my stomach, like murdering it. So yeah, and it has caught up to me today, and it's very annoying. But on the upside, I'm just a full-time beard haver now.
A full-time beard haver.
Well, it was an ingrown hair to start that started the whole thing off. And so I told Melissa, I was like, I'm not shaving until this thing is gone. And it hasn't gone away. And then I went to talk to my doctor. My doctor's like, no close shaves, no deep shaves, nothing. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I'm just a beard guy now. All right. That's just it.
Welcome.
Welcome. I don't have a bushy one like yours.
No.
You got the bushy. I wouldn't say bushy. You got a good there are the hobo guys with the huge bush beards that look like birds could live in them.
Oh yeah, there's times where like my usual level that I allow it to get to on the right side of my face. For some reason, my hair grows kind of like wavier.
Right.
So what I'll end up doing is I'll let it go just fine, but eventually I will get a full like wave pattern in the hair, and it's to the point that when I bend down, it like curls up. So then that's my limit, because it not only does it look terrible, but it feels terrible too.
That'll do it.
So yeah, and I'm like, no, this has run its course. I'll thin it out.
My hair has always grown in weird patches. So like my secret hope is that by the time this all clears up and I am able to shave, my hair will be thick enough to finally give myself a mutton stash, which I have always wanted. always. But I've never been able to let it get thick enough, because it's like, okay, you gotta shave that. But like now I'm keeping it, so I've just been trimming it here and there. The other cool thing about my beard, I'm gonna point this out, that I noticed now that my beard is bushier, and you can't see it, but the people out there can see it. There is just a small little patch of white in it. Like the hair itself isn't gray like the top of my head, but like just on one little section, like a Stephen Strange patch of white, just right there on my chin. I don't know. I feel like some sort of Stan Lee drew me now.
You know, it almost sounds like you're hoping to get bit by a radioactive something at this point.
I'm pretty sure that just gives you cancer. I don't think you get powers from it.
Well, I mean,
I look like I got bit by a radioactive spare tire. That's what I look like.
Radioactive spare tire.
He got the powers of the spare tire. He's very bouncy and round. All right. So yeah, did you get to watch
Tire Man
does whatever a tire can. Rolls down the street. That's really it. Here comes the Tire Man. Okay. So
I hope he doesn't have a blowout.
Did you listen to the show last week?
Time to get your fix. It's a horrible gaming podcast. It's not good, it's not great. Horrible gaming podcast. It's not even what you would call fair. It's really not that good. Horrible Gaming Podcast.
Hello, my name is Zachariah with Old Man Gaming. You, dear listener, for whatever reason, have decided to tune into another horrible gaming podcast. But I am not alone. Usually I am never alone. With me is
Neil, a.k.a. a tiny wizard.
Yes, back from Kentucky. He has returned, and just in time for us to review Nintendo's Direct. That's what this show is going to be all about. Nintendo, literally out of left field, had an E3 caliber show, and rocked my shit. So we will talk about that later. But before we do, we've got to thank the people who made this possible. First of all, behind our ugly mugs, you see a custom graphic that was provided by Mr. Mark Bell. We thank him for that. Second of all, the theme song for this show and all shows here at Old Man Gaming is provided by the man who makes the music, my brother Nick Van Sliders. We thank him for that. And that's it. We're going to go to fan interaction and read out your comments.
Horrible Gaming Podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to our first segment, our most important segment. That is fan interaction. That's where we, the co-hosts, talk to you guys, the fans. We read out your stuff anywhere we see them. And I actually have to go back 2 weeks. I think William Huin is behind, but he got one in from the 2 week ago show. Hi! Exclamation point! Somebody! Hey Neil, have you seen that move? Neil interrupting. No, I haven't seen it.
No, I definitely haven't seen it. Whatever it is, I've never seen it.
All right, so after 106 days, the strike is over, which means I'm gonna buy myself an Old Man Gaming T-shirt. Yay! Lots of celebration. Thank you. I appreciate that, Will. Also, I know it didn't happen yet when you recorded, but Neil must have lost it when they announced Metroid Prime 4. We're going to talk about it. Also, you're 2 weeks behind. I feel like you think this was last week's episode. Last week's episode was me and Stella, so check that out, Will. But this week was me and Neil. 2 weeks ago was me and Neil. Thanks for the show. Commenting too late again. Should be back to my usual now. Hashtag strike is over. Congratulations on the strike being over, Will. Glad to hear it. I know that was making you miserable. So
I can only imagine.
So now we will go to last week's, in which Stella was co-host. I'm going to say this. I don't know if I will get around to it, but if I do, I will try. If you guys, I don't know if any of you responded to Stella or said anything to Stella directly. If you did, I will try and record a Stella response and edit it into this episode. And right off the bat, I am proven wrong. Asylum66, hello Stella! You did a great job on the show. I will make sure to read through that comment and try and get a response for you, Asylum66. I think she did do a good job. She actually did. I thought she was pretty good. She was pretty cohesive with her thoughts. She had some ideas. I liked it.
I loved the very brief tangent that she went on about something going on with her computer.
Oh, yeah. That is funny. Blue. Yeah, Stella will just randomly be like, this thing that I hate about this. Yeah.
Just like a father.
What's funny is her stuff is so wild because we do Stealth Plug. I do with her alone a podcast that you can only find on Spotify called the Everything Stella Podcast. Because she really wanted to do a podcast, so I said if she put the work in, she helped me edit, I would help her post it, and she's kept up with that. That being said, I think the last episode or the episode before that, she went on this rant about this blue box that was appear on her screen, and then she couldn't use her cursor. And I was like, I have no idea what you're talking about. Next time that happens, come tell me. So she comes and gets me, and she takes me in there, and I figure out what it is right away. With Roblox, because it's kind of originally designed for a computer, if you're using a controller and you hit a certain button, it switches to the overlay, the options, so that you can move around to the options, and it's highlighted by a blue box. And I was like, oh, okay. There it is. But yeah, she went on a 10-minute rant about that blue box, and I have no idea what she was talking about. Continuing. Jason, I prefer making my own characters in games because I prefer making my character to be a dude I find attractive. He then said Division 2, Remnant 2, BG3, Cyberpunk 2077, sexy pixels. That's awesome. Love that. I know a guy too who always makes women in games because he likes looking at women. So like he always makes a female character. He likes to play female characters. I love character creators. I don't want to play somebody else's character anymore. Like, just in my life, I'm at a point where if it doesn't have a character creator, it has to have something else really good, or I just don't want to deal with it. Go ahead.
Yeah, I typically, whenever I do any sort of character creation, I'm very basic and vanilla when I do it. I base it off of me for the most part.
Yeah.
Change some things here and there, like hair color or whatever, but outside of that, yeah, I just make myself.
The first one's always me, and then every one subsequent after that is like something crazier and wilder. I do like games with character creators that make you, like, Age of Wonders 4 has just the coolest, like, character / race creation ever in it, and it's like a 4X game. We've talked about it quite a bit. Where you can build like a fantasy race from ground up. I don't think I've ever made anything that looks even remotely like me in that game. I got like a mole man and a frickin' toad dude and an insect and all sorts of shit. But I do like those character creators that inspire you to be crazy with it. Continuing, yeah. Jason says, I can spend a couple of hours making a character in some games. BG3 character creation is like crack. I could not agree more. And honestly, sometimes it's annoying because I'm having fun, but I want to play, and like I spend too much time in it, and I run out of time to actually play. Have you ever had that happen?
I myself no. Typically, what I'll do is like I'll start kind of in depth. But eventually, like when it gets to like the stuff like eyebrows, cheekbones,
right,
like freckles, stuff like that, I literally don't care. I'm never gonna see those aspects of it. It's just like, let me get my build, let me get my hair, and some colors, and outside of that, I don't care. Kayla, on the other hand, will burn as much time as humanly possible. I remember when we started playing Baldur's Gate 3, when we were creating our characters, I got done in about 15-ish minutes. She hit about 45 minutes on the character creation.
You're in the kitchen making a sandwich.
Yeah, no, it's I end up just chilling on the couch, scrolling through my phone, like, yeah, whatever, you know.
Character creating is fun. I hate it when you have to do a character creation with somebody. The first time I ever played Tiny Tina's Wonderlands was with, I think, Phil and Filthy Phil, and it was like, I didn't have time to explore the character creator, and I was like, I don't want to be behind. I gotta just make a character, you know, like, yeah. And then like I think I got it done before them because I was so worried that I was gonna be behind, and like it's not even that complicated of a character creator. It's just I like to spend time in it, and like, yeah, I understand. Jason then continues, me and this guy I've been playing with from Sea of Thieves Discord was able to get away from a brigantine on a sloop. Nice, dude. That crew was so insistent on sinking us, and they chased us all over half the sea, but they gave up, and we were able to sell our super valuable treasures. Even though it was a relatively small haul, turning that stuff in felt so much sweeter. I agree. I think it's real. Like, Sea of Thieves has some really annoying potential for trolling, but it also has some really like rewarding moments when you come out on top. I will say this: I've rarely come out on top. My biggest hate is I don't mind when enemy sea captains in Sea of Thieves hunt us down on the open seas and kill us for the treasure. Like, I'm like, all right, they out-pirated us. That's fine. What I hate is when there is a pirate ship that just sits at one of the bases, because there's only like, say there's like 5 or 6 bases where you could turn your shit in. They'll just sit there, so when you sail to that place and you start to offload, they kill you all then and take your shit. I hate that. I hate that so much. I wish there was some sort of policing once I get it to home base I've got it and I can offload. Because the offloading of treasure in Sea of Thieves is a very tedious process. But it's also a fun process because, like, turning it in individually makes you see what you're getting and it just gives you warm and fuzzies, you know? But, like, when you're halfway through turning it in and then a whole nother crew just jumps onto the dock and starts murdering you and running around taking your shit and turning it in. Because the turn-ins are right there, so they can just grab it from you and run over and turn it in. It's so frustrating.
You know, I think something like griefing is a problem in a lot of games, but I feel like Fallout 76 is a shining example almost that I personally could point to and say, hey, there's the perfect way to balance everything out, at least from my personal experiences.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
So, yeah, if somebody is, like, if you have a base built and somebody's attacking the base, you'll get, like, a notification saying, hey, somebody's attacking your shit. You can go take care of it if you want.
Right.
Or if you're, like, out and about, you know, wandering the wastelands and you come across somebody else and they want to fight, there's a mode that you can have turned on to where whenever they attack you, it does, like, no damage, like, at all whenever they do anything to you. But if you fire back, then it's like, okay, so you guys do want to fight. Cool. So that lets, you know, that allows people to extend the invitation to other players to say, hey, I would like to engage with you in this way. Do you want to play this way as well? Yes, no. And then from there, you know, you could play your own way.
So I don't want to go too far on the Sea of Thieves, but I will say this. That is really cool. I'm not arguing with that feature at all. But there is an aspect of Sea of Thieves, and I think it's part of the play experience, which is the anxiety of, like, I have the treasure, can I make it back to the place? Like, and just constantly, like, one person's just constantly scanning the seas to make sure nobody's coming up on you. So, like, and plus it's pirates, you know what I mean? Like, to be a true pirate game, you shouldn't have to, like, ask the other pirates if it's okay if we try and sink you. You know what I mean? So, like, I get it, but, and I will say, if I remember correctly, Sea of Thieves has a solo mode now where you can go into the world without anybody else in it, just you and your crew. Like, so you don't have to worry about that. There is a way to play that. You play alone in the world, basically. All of that being said, I kind of feel like that's part of the play experience. I just wish there was a point. I just wish mainly the island was, like, off limits, so that, like, when I've gotten to the island with my crew, you can't, like, run in and steal my shit from me last minute. You know what I mean? Like if you want to steal my shit, that's fine, but you've got to pirate me on the open water like a pirate would. You know, that would be, or while I'm getting it in the first place. Like, those kind of things I'd be much more okay with. But I will say this, the hostility always being on in Sea of Thieves does create some really cool and interesting moments. There was a moment where, like, we were fighting, like, I was on with a bunch of friends, and we were fighting against this, like, it's like, I want to say, like, a spirit fort or something. I don't remember what it was, but it was this place with a lot of stuff. We take out the fort, but there's two other captains there. So we take out the fort, we know there's a bunch of treasure inside, and everybody just stops and stares at each other. Because there's a ton of gunpowder inside, and everybody's like, how do we do this? Like, there was a whole, like, negotiation between our crew and their crew, like, just yelling back and forth off the ship, like, hey, we just want the treasure. We just want the treasure too. Let's just split the treasure. It'll be fair. How do we do this? All we want is the skull. We want this. And so there was this constant back and forth negotiation. And then it was like, nobody touches any gunpowder crates. If they touch it, it's off. Everybody goes crazy because we know what happens when that happens. And it was just really fun. It created this interesting, fun moment, you know, that you just wouldn't get in any other multiplayer game anywhere. I just wish that, like, I hate going to a base with a ship and there being a crew waiting for you there to steal your stuff and immediately turn it in. I hate that. I wish just those home base islands were in some way, like, NPC protected. Alright, so to continue. And just so you know, this was a suggested one for us to stream. was Sea of Thieves.
That I got that part. I think that was actually like the last thing that I heard. In the
I think it was it was somebody suggested that we should probably stream it. I don't know how much you guys are gonna like it, but it would definitely create for a lot of us yelling at each other for at least a streamer or two. I would say that.
I would be willing to at least give it one shot.
Yeah, that's fair. The captain ships and sovereigns makes turning in loot a lot easier. There's a place with a harpoon that drops your loot by one person. You can turn everything in. Oh, okay. That's new then. Harpoons also drop your harpooned item on the ground now, instead of just having to pick it up off the harpoon. Oh, nice. That was hugely annoying. Unless it's a bottle, barrel, or ammo and gold pouch. That's cool. I didn't know that, Jason. That's a high improvement. I'm glad we just talked about that forever for them to have made it through. And then he says, I get on crews via the Sea of Thieves Discord. My friend hasn't been playing lately. Okay. And that's it for comments, man. You ready to get into this Nintendo Direct?
Yes.
Take a quick break. Be right back with that. All right, as promised, I thought if any comments resulted to Stella, I would get her on here.
Hello, Stella. You did a great job on the show.
That's Asylum66 said that. You want to say anything back?
Thank you, Asylum66. And I think I might know you from my Xbox.
Yes, it's Johnny. Let me ask you, a lot of people said you did a great job, by the way.
Like who said?
Well, Neil said you did a great job. He wanted to say thank you for filling in for him. Huh? All right. We got one more from you. William Hoen says, hi, behind our ugly mugs, I only seen one ugly mug on the screen, bro. He's talking about me. See. And then he says, happy to see you, Stella. You did a great job on that podcast co-host job.
Thank you.
Horrible Gaming Podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, we thought the E3 weeks were done. We thought we had wrapped it all up. Everybody had done their shows other than Ubisoft, and let's face it, the Ubisoft one was pretty junk. We thought we were done. But we were not. Nintendo did a Nintendo Direct, a surprise Nintendo Direct this last Tuesday, I think it was. And
something like that, yeah.
Holy Lord, did it murder our faces. So we're going to talk about it. Before we get into it, though, I want to touch base on something. And me and Neil already talking about this before, well, not before, but just about this in the show. Because the comparison between this show and the Xbox show, and why I think this show was so much better than the Xbox show. You know, one thing we're gonna say as we go through this: dates. Almost everything had a date or a release window. How many of the Xbox things can we say had that? 2, 3?
Yeah, basically.
This stuff was straight to the point. And look, Nintendo's been getting its share of bad press too. There's been a lot of stuff coming out about terrible work conditions, a lot of stuff coming out about, different practices and behaviors within the company that aren't good. So while I don't deem them as devilish or evil as Microsoft right now in the public eye, they've definitely been getting their share of shit. I don't think that Microsoft should be excused because they came up with a bunch of videos that looked cool. And that's what IGN seems to think. Whereas we now have Nintendo. Nintendo comes out with this Direct, and it was, I'm going to say it, I think Nintendo won. And anybody who's been listening to this channel for a long time knows that I am not Nintendo's biggest fan. Not by a long shot. I have been a Nintendo hater. Like, in the beginning, I liked Microsoft. I didn't like Nintendo. I've never liked Nintendo as a company, the way they run things, the way they do stuff. So I'm pretty sure I could say objectively I feel like they won the E3 week with this.
Yeah, 100% on that. You compare, and it's not even necessarily coming from the angle of, well, I just didn't like what Microsoft had to show.
Right.
I liked more what Nintendo had to show. It was the presentation overall with everything. They didn't linger too hard on all this stuff because, let's face it, for a lot of these games that they showed at this showcase, they don't need a whole in-depth 10-minute, here's the first mission of this, that, and the other, and a hand-holdy guide through everything. They said, hey, here's a trailer, here's this shit, you know what this shit is, here's some gameplay. By the way, this year or next year, on to the next.
Yeah.
Respected
or
our
this
time.
month, this time. Yeah, they did. They were to the point, concise, and I gotta say, this is really the way you do a show. And honestly, any shows that I've talked about that I think Microsoft did good, did it this way. This is how you do a show. But let's get into the games. Let's get into why we think this was such a winner. We've got to start right off the bat with the number one. This is what everybody's going to talk about. Legend of Zelda: Echoes of Wisdom, announced for Nintendo Switch as Zelda as a protagonist. I know that you want to get to the other big one. We'll do one next. But I would say, arguably, this is the bigger announcement. Here's why I would say it. Okay, well, I wasn't expecting you to agree with me.
No,
I already had all these prepared arguments. Here's why I would say it. First of all, we have been knowing about the other one forever. This one, nobody thought there was another Zelda game coming anytime soon. There was no Zelda game in the pipeline, nothing talked about. We just got Tears of the Kingdom, last year? So we're not expecting anything. Usually, Zelda games we have... Unless it's a remaster or a remake, we have 5,
4 years, 5 years, something like that.
3 to 5 years between games. So nobody's expecting a Zelda game anytime soon. But instead, we get Legend of Zelda: Echoes of Wisdom, and we get a release date of this fucking year, September 26th, 2024. And just so that you guys know, you'll be playing Zelda in this instead of Link. But it's kind of the aesthetic of Link's Awakening, which was a remaster. It was a remaster or a remake. So I'm sure they used assets of that, but still, this to me was like a nuke going off. This was the one of the 1-2 punch that really was holy shit,
Yeah, before I really focus in on this one, I think the reason why all these other games hit as hard as they did, at least for me personally, they all hit equally, even with Prime 4, in the mix on everything. It's the fact that we knew Prime 4 was a thing. It was just a matter of time before we saw it. Yeah. But all of these other things too were, like you mentioned, kind of, we're getting this. Yeah. Oh my God, we're getting that. Oh, this other franchise that's been, long dormant. Oh, we're getting that too. This Legend of Zelda: Echoes of Wisdom, I feel like, is running the normal Nintendo gamut of, so everybody wants Zelda to be the main character in a mainline Zelda game. The isometric, top-down perspective that they're bringing to this is the test run. They want to see how well this sells first. Yeah, they want to see the response to it first, I feel like. But what I'm really impressed with is they brought the Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, solve the stuff however way you want to do it. Yeah. To the traditional formula, and that is that blend that I feel like is going to draw a lot of people in.
So, before we get into heavy on Zelda, in my opinion, there was 4 big releases, 4 big announcements at this Direct that were the killer combo, in my opinion. And they were basically all surprises, except for Metroid Prime 4, which we'll talk about, but in a way, that was a surprise. A logical surprise, I guess, would be the best way to say it. There was a couple of weird feelings that I got about this Zelda one, and I don't know that I want to go into all of it because I think you just yell saltines at me as loud as humanly possible. Yeah. But I do want to say I do love that mechanic. So the way the game works is she doesn't use the sword and shield. She uses a wand that allows her to, as she finds certain objects in the world, they're called echoes, and then she can create that object. So if she finds like a block of water with an echo on it, she can then create blocks of water. If she finds a bad guy with an echo, she can create the bad guys to fight for her. If she finds a bed with an echo, she can put the bed there, which is a really cool and interesting way of looking at a game like this, because it is that top-down OG Zelda kind of perspective while bringing that Tears of the Kingdom solve it any way you want sort of feel to it. And that definitely interested me, because let's face it, the old Zelda games and the new Zelda games are two very different beasts. We can say they're the same, they're completely different games. The Zelda Breath of the Wild, Zelda Tears of the Kingdom is nothing like the original Zelda, with the exception of the aesthetic. I would argue anyone tooth and nail on it. You just don't do anything the same as you do in the other ones. The other ones were very linear experiences with a facade of open worldness on them, whereas those were true open worlds. I would say more than some open worlds are open worlds. Some of the truest open worlds there are those two Zelda games. So this is a really interesting kind of transition for me. I think it'll be very cool to see it kind of unravel and how it works. Yeah.
I will tell you, though, whenever this was announced, I had a very mild, knee-jerk, panicked reaction because I immediately was thrown back to the Philips CDI Zelda games, and I thought this was the
Wand of Gamelon remake.
Yeah, I thought it was a remake of that second one that they did.
That would be
Zelda.
Crazy.
I was like, that. It was like, oh my god, we're getting that, and it was like, wait a second.
So,
but if Nintendo actually did that, that's kind of what this game is.
You know, I'm a huge fan of Game Grumps, right? I think everybody does. I watch all of their stuff. But whenever I'm like really tired or extremely high or something along those lines, I don't want to watch new stuff. I go to like a compilation video. So I think I know more about the Philips CDI Zeldas never playing them than I do about any other Zelda, because their playthroughs of those are the funniest fucking things that have ever existed. And I have watched them. Wand of Gamelon is one of my favorite go-tos for them. The best Game Grumps' best of Wand of Gamelon is just... oh, it's just a laugh a minute for me. So, like, I got the same feeling. I was like, holy shit, they're going to do Wand of Gamelon? And they're going to try and make it real? And they didn't. I don't think they did. Although, in fairness, they could still make this Wand of Gamelon. We don't know where this fits into the timeline. Everybody's trying to, like, figure out where it fits in and which timeline it fits into and how it fits in. And everybody's got their theories, and everybody's kind of like, okay, well, that theory's good, but here's why it wouldn't work, you know, and stuff like that. So, like, this could turn out to be Wand of Gamelon. We don't know, like a remake of Wand of Gamelon. I mean, a super remake, but, like the same basic story, but told completely differently. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Okay, is there anything else you want to say about Zelda, or should we move on?
Let us move on.
All right. Remind me in the break, and I'll tell you my old man rant about it, and you can tell me whether I should put it up as a bonus or not.
Okay.
All right. Now everybody out there is going to be like...
now everybody's going to be like...
what does he have to say? What's the negative on this? I'm going to tell you right now, whatever you're thinking, because I said it's an old man rant, it's not that, okay? It's not that. It's probably the opposite of what you're thinking. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about your big one, right?
Yes.
This is the two. This is the 1-2.
This is the 1-2.
And then everything else is just waiting for the ref to call it. This is the 1-2.
Right. So yeah, after a long time, we got our first real look at Metroid Prime 4, and it showed us everything that we needed to see. Just hey, it's Metroid Prime, and that's all it needed to be. Yeah. It didn't need to be a reinvention of the wheel or anything like that. It's funny because there have been people, griping about like, oh, well, what's going to be the major innovation? And like, what about the graphics? The graphics don't look anything crazy.
They didn't? People have been saying that?
To those individuals, I say kindly and respectfully, shut the fuck up. We have proven time and time again that graphics don't make the game.
No.
I mean, come on, man. Like,
We're definitely
it's
anti-graphics here.
and
on
also,
this channel,
beggars
I think.
can't be choosers at this point. But it's funny because
Neil's like, don't ruin this for me, internet. Shut up.
after the second, I did message you the second the trailer for this finished.
Yes, yeah,
This
I
was
saw.
their and one more thing.
I saw.
And I shot the message I sent to Zach in all caps was "It's real." That's it. No context, anything.
So here's the thing. You sent all caps, "It's real." I'm going to look this up real quick because this was a fun exchange. Because I'm going to tell you a little secret about your message that made my day. You sent, let me see this. "It's real," all caps. No exclamation points, just "it's real." No apostrophe, nothing. Just ITSREAL, all caps. To which I said, "What is?" And I definitely typed that to you while I was shitting on the toilet, confused. And you said, "Metroid Prime 4. The minute you said that, I gave you a thumbs up. Then I was like, oh shit, I have to watch that direct now. I was going to skip it. I was like, it's bullshit. It's all going to be second, third party, whatever. So then I gave you the thumbs up. I was like, not responding to anything. Went on fucking IGN and just started going through the trailers. And I was like, holy shit. What? Where did this shit come from? And then we had more conversation and back and forth about it. But yeah, I know you're excited about this. I do want to jump in real quick. Number one, you said, what's the hook? What's different is what the internet's saying.
Yeah.
To answer that, right off the bat, there was that space battle, and there was multiple other characters on the screen. I've seen Metroid Primes. They don't have shit like that. It looked much more like a living world than like the Metroid Primes before. Now, I've never played a Metroid Prime for very long, but I remember them being almost like first-person shooters kind of Doom style. Like, everything you see is a bad guy, basically.
Kind of. Yeah.
Kind of. With this one, it almost looked like this was a fully realized planet that you could interact with. If this is an actual open world, like, holy shit. Number two, that's the new thing. Number two, I actually said to Neil, I have no idea how those graphics are going to play on the Switch. The graphics were phenomenal in that trailer. Like, absolutely mind-blowing for a Switch. Like, for me, watching that trailer, I actually in my head was like, that's a big promise right there. Like, so I'm surprised that the internet is like, the graphics aren't up to snuff. I'm like, for a Switch? Like, Switch has a hard time with, like, The Witcher 3 and Skyrim. Yeah. This looks way better than that. I don't know what you're talking about. I think this was killer. And I do also want to talk about the release window. And I'm going to say this, which is going to sound like I'm the genius that came up with it. Me and Neil came up with this at the exact same time, basically. This is going to be the next Switch's release game. They love to do this shit. They did this shit with Breath of the Wild. They love to release a game on the old tech while also having it be the launch for the new tech. With Breath of the Wild, it's available on the Wii U, and then it was also made for the Switch. It was the launch game for the Switch. Basically in tandem, like the RIP to the old and in with the new, but you get the game on both. That's what this is going to be, 100%. The minute I saw 2025, I was like, oh, we don't have a Zelda to launch it. Instead, what we're going to do is we're going to launch it with Metroid Prime 4, which everybody's been waiting for, which is a smart play. They're going to put it on the regular Switch, but they're also going to slap it on the Switch Next 2 360 ID4, whatever it's going to be called.
Yeah, they did that with the GameCube to the Wii with Twilight Princess. There was not anything to my knowledge that went from Wii to Wii U. I may be missing something there. But yeah, then they did with Zelda, the Wii U to the Switch. Yeah, in regard to what Metroid Prime 4 is going to be, because we don't have to beat this one to death. Because, I mean, let's be real. We've been talking about this game for like 6 years at this point, and this is the first time we've seen anything real of it. And just proved to be what it needed to be overall. In regard to like the living, breathing world and everything like that, I will tell you, Metroid Prime 3 did that.
Oh, okay.
Kind of, not aggressively.
Okay.
There were certainly hubs that you went into and you could have conversations with characters, and they were actually voice acted too, which was even better. Yeah. So they did have a little bit of that, but that was more so dipping the toe in the water. You would jump into the middle of Galactic Federation, fighting off space pirates and stuff happening around while you're just like working your way through to Ridley. So, I mean, they did cool stuff like that there. But I mean, this is really going to be building on this, and I really think it's interesting that it's really obscure lore stuff, because unless you are really deep into Metroid, you have no idea who the hell some of these dudes are. I forget the guy's name. It's like Silex or something like that. It almost sounds like Cyrax. Okay. But that was the guy who had the Metroids. At the end of Metroid Prime Hunters, there is a secret ending that shows him going through and snatching up Metroid, basically.
Oh, nice.
This is the payoff of a tease. This is like a freaking Marvel movie tease at this point, because this is a payoff of a tease that happened almost 20 years ago at this point.
That's awesome. So finally
and I'm glad it's happening. And like I said, truthfully, they don't even have to show anything else from here.
Right.
They don't need to have another single trailer at all. I'd be totally fine. I mean, I'm not going to...
I'd like them to do one more and tell me the specific date. But other than that...
Yeah, I mean, specific date. I'm sure they'll put up something for the specific date. But yeah, no, this was definitely... It was a long time coming, and it wasn't... the announcement itself wasn't something that was like, oh my God, this is earth-shattering. And like, obviously, yes, it was kind of like, holy shit, it's real. But like we'd mentioned, we knew it was coming, and it was very satisfying to know it was there.
Yeah. I think that for Metroid fans, it's great. It's a great payoff. You're finally getting your thing. I honestly, from what I saw there, I think it's probably pretty far in production, and I think we would have gotten a date if we had a date for the Switch. I think the biggest thing holding it up is they want to launch it with the new Switch, and they don't know when the new Switch is coming. So, that was the 2. Then we've got 3 and 4, which kick ass. Mario and Luigi Brothership.
Yes.
Dude, Mario and Luigi is like, I don't want to say the follow-up to RPG, but like kind of that turn-based spiritual successor to the original Paper Mario and Mario RPGs. We have even talked about it recently, how there's no real like game capitalizing on that turn-based like Mario kind of half Twitch, the old Paper Mario games. Like Paper Mario is this mercurial thing that's always something different. And then like there's Mario RPG Remake, but that was just the original Mario RPG redone. So like they haven't, and Mario and Luigi was this, but they stopped making them years ago. They're making a new one. It's coming to Switch, and it is coming to Switch on November 7th. Again, another fucking hard release date. Thank you very much. Within this year. And this is another... I can't say how surprised I was to see not just another Mario game coming, but a long-dead Mario franchise that people have been asking for returning with a release date of this year. People have been saying for like the last 6 months that Nintendo Switch is done. They're not releasing anything really new. You're getting a couple of remasters here and there, and then that's it. That's what they're doing. And then 4 new games announced here. 3 of them with release dates of this year. Those are the big 4, So, like, this to me was huge. I was very excited to see this. I don't know if I'll ever play this game. I just think it's really cool that we're getting it.
Yeah, I mean, I will tell you, as somebody who played through the majority of the Mario and Luigi, I'm going to pick it up. I have most of them. I've slowly been making my way through. But, even with Mario and Luigi, they started to go the route of... Paper Mario, and you didn't necessarily know exactly what you were going to be getting with those. Like, The last one that I tried to play through was Dream Team, and it was like very weird because half of the game was Mario in Luigi's mind while he's sleeping, and it's full of like weird gimmicks that you have to like blow at your 3DS and like wiggle the mustache with the stylus and everything. Like they're just shoehorning that stuff in.
Yeah.
But when I saw this announcement, in fact, this is what they opened with, Brothership.
Okay.
If I remember correctly.
I mean, I'm just going off the article. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh no. But I was saying like this was what I would. It was either this or Zelda. I honestly can't remember. But you know, I remember seeing this, and I was like, hey. This is going to be one of those good shows.
Yeah. Like, that's a good start, man. That's a good start. We don't have to beat that to a dead horse, but like, I mean, what are the big properties for Nintendo that everybody wants to see always? Metroid, Zelda, Mario. We got a new Metroid, Zelda, and Mario game. You know? But not even stopping there. Another huge franchise. We're going to skip down 2, if you don't mind. On the list. The 4th one. These were the big 4 in my opinion. The ones that, like, in my opinion, made this show win. Because with the exception of just Metroid, they all had release dates. They all had at least release windows. And we didn't know any of them were coming. You know? And that's a new Mario Party game. Super Mario Party Jamboree is another entry coming in on the Switch, and this is a big entry in my opinion because they're adding a lot of things that people have been asking for a really long time. First of all, they have a Battle Royale mode with 20 players called the Koopathon. They have a ton of new boards, plus they're bringing back old boards to kind of rotate it in, and then they're just throwing tons of mini games in. But like the Battle Royale mode is what really caught my eye because I think people have been wanting like that massive multiplayer kind of like online support for Mario Party for a really long time. And this Koopathon mode supports 20 players. So I think that would be really cool addition to Super Mario Party. That trailer just was the trailer that kept on going for me. Because like it was like, oh, here's Mario Party. I was like, oh, sweet. It must be a remake. No, it's a new game with new boards. Oh, cool, even new boards. But there's more. There's a Battle Royale mode. I'm like, holy man, that trailer just kept delivering when I wasn't expecting it to. I don't even know if I'm going to ever get this game or play it. But I do like a good Mario Party. I like playing a Mario Party. And this is a huge franchise getting another hit. The other thing that these 4 have in common is they are all Nintendo listening to their fans. We want a Metroid Prime game. Here's Metroid Prime. We want Mario Party to have more online functionality. Here's more online functionality. We want Mario and Luigi to have a turn-based Mario and Luigi game again. Mario and Luigi Brotherhood. We want Zelda to be in a Zelda game. Zelda Echoes of the Past. Like, huge 4 in my opinion, and I think these 4 plus again this Super Mario Party October 17th of this year, so huge. With Mario Party as well, I feel like Mario Party games in the past, like they've not been small games by any mean, but the selection of boards on its own. It's like normally you get like 5. There's like a 6th unlockable one. Yeah. This one here, it's saying you got the 7 boards total, and I would imagine there's an 8th board somewhere hidden to be unlocked as well. It feels like it's a proper entry in the series, and it's going to be bigger than they have been in the past overall. Yeah. I don't know why, but I feel like this is going to be another weird one that Nintendo's going to try to charge $70 for. I don't know. I just get that vibe from it for some reason. I'm very scared that any of these. I think Metroid Prime will be a $70 one. Personally, that they're going to try. Yeah, I'm afraid any of these become $70, but let's not talk about the bad stuff right now because we got so much good positive to go through. So I don't want to go through everything because there was another 30 games released, a lot of animes, a lot of ports. But I do want to say one of the things that I thought they did really good overall on these ports, and then after we talk about kind of overall, we can point out any ones that we thought were really cool or worth speaking about. A lot of the ports are ports that people have been asking for a while. Ace Attorney Collection. A lot of people want some more Ace Attorney collections. We got that. We got the Darkest Dungeon 2 is coming to Switch. That's another big port to kind of hit Switch. We also got the remakes for Dragon Quest 1 and then 2D, and then Dragon Quest 2 and 3, and then 1 and 2 coming early next year. All of those 2D remakes are coming. Stray is going to hit Switch this holiday. All big, awesome ports. And then everything else. And Luigi's Mansion.
Yeah. That actually comes out this week.
Yeah. And then we had like a lot of other stuff. Hello Kitty Island Adventure. It's a cozy game. But that's a very popular cozy game that I think started on Apple Arcade. I'm not 100% positive.
I believe
William Hohen
yes.
will know because I'm pretty sure he's talked about it on his show. That's a really popular one. That's another win for Switch to add into some of the other ports that they got, like the TMNT game coming out and stuff like that. So they've done a lot of really good work here, I think. You got the Horizon one. The Lego Horizon is going to hit Switch. I do want to talk personally. I'm really excited about Tales of the Shire too. I want to be a hobbit and cook some food. I know maybe that makes me stupid, but that game sounds so much fun to me. Just being a little fat little hobbit cooking food for friends. That sounds great. That sounds like Animal Crossing with a little bit more of a purpose, and I love those kind of games, especially on the Switch.
Yeah, I of all the other things that were announced, really, the Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection. That was a big one. Just because Marvel vs. Capcom 2 is kind of difficult to come across, let alone, X-Men vs. Street Fighter and the original Marvel vs. Capcom. I mean, they have some other like side-scrolling beat-em-ups too, like with the Punisher and everything like that there. I do think it's interesting that it's called the Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection, and there are some of the other games that don't necessarily fit within the realm of that, but that's neither here nor there. But yeah, that's going to be one that I'm absolutely going to be picking up at some point because I've really been fiending for some Marvel vs. Capcom.
This is for you.
I think it's on Steam, but outside of that, there's really nowhere else to find it.
Yeah, this one looks interesting. It is weird that Punisher just got jammed in there. Yeah, the old Punisher baller. That's a weird one to just stick in there. Personally, I really want to see the X-Men Arcade come back somewhere. That was on Xbox for a while, then they delisted it, remember? The port of that?
Yeah.
The old side-scrolling brawler of the X-Men. That is an awesome brawler. So that was a good one. That is a really good one. I'm glad you pointed that one out. That would have been one that would be a tragedy to have missed. And then, of course, the Donkey Kong Country Returns HD hit Switch, which is another good port. I think it hits it pretty late in the game for the Switch, though. January 2025 is weird for me, but all right. So I think we've covered it, man. Any final thoughts on the Direct?
No, and I did do a quick search. Marvel vs. Capcom 2 is not on Steam, so
there you go.
Yeah, this is going to be like the only place you can pick it up. But yeah, no. Overall, I was pleased with this showcase. It was, I mean, Nintendo does like to wait until, surprise, 2 days from now, we're going to have, and they always do their show after everybody else has gone. It was just a matter of when it was popping up. And
that rarely means they win, though, And,
right,
and quite often they just...
That's fair, yeah.
Quite often it's just floaters or ports or...
Yeah.
This was killer.
Yeah, they had an excellent, and I mean, there's even stuff coming to the Switch Online. Turok, Perfect Dark, Metroid Zero Mission, Legend of Zelda Four Swords. One other one that was just completely out of left field that I wasn't expecting. That's kind of cool. That NES Nintendo World Championship.
Yeah, that's really cool. I thought that was really cool too. It was a number one with a bullet as far as the show goes for E3 for me. I thought it was really cool, and yeah. All right, and again, this to me is a good show. This is a show. This isn't a bunch of lights and flashy stuff to distract you from the crap. This is, here's dates, here's game, here's date, here game, here date, here game. You know, I like that. That's how these shows should be delivered. All right, we're going to take a quick break, and then we'll be back with the news, everybody.
Yes.
Horrible Gaming Podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to our last segment, the news. Neil collects wonderful news stories and terrible news stories that, mostly terrible news stories, that he wants to share with us, tell us about, we want to riff out, tell you guys about. Neil, how many you got?
I've actually got 3, and they're going to be pretty super straightforward.
Oh, I like
first
that.
one of the, this is going to be pretty concise and to the point. We may get hung up on one thing, but outside of that,
you never know. You never know what I'm going to be pissed about.
That's fair. So the first one is Microsoft is finally going through and giving people refunds from the purchase of the Bite Back edition of Redfall. It's already faded into obscurity because it took me a second to freaking remember what the
How
name of the
the
game was.
fuck did it take them this long? I cannot believe there wasn't a lawyer somewhere preparing a class action lawsuit. Like, the fact that game is now dead and gone for months and they haven't gotten their refund, like, this whole situation's bullshit to start with. We've already talked about that. I don't think Redfall... I think Redfall is all Microsoft's fault. I know that that's putting a lot on Redfall, but just, like, if you look at the quality of games that Austin released, that Arcane Austin released prior to Redfall, which was prior to Microsoft owning them, they're all quality games. Whether they sold great or not, that's up in the air, but they're all quality games. Microsoft gets them, Redfall comes out. Then we hear all this shit about how, like, we tried so hard to make it work. We told Microsoft we shouldn't release it. Microsoft forced us to release it, then shut us down for it doing bad. The fact that it then took you 2 months while Phil Spencer is walking around telling everybody he's got to make the hard choices, took you 2 months to give those people refunds when they're not going to get the product that you're going to give them. Shameful. Shameful. That's all I'm going to say about that.
Yeah, absolutely. In other news that's not necessarily as bad, but I mean, there's been a lot of talk about Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League and how it's faring and everything like that. But I did see that Rocksteady has confirmed that they're dedicated to at least the first 4 seasons of Suicide Squad. So it sounds like they're going to give it a year. To be completely honest, I think it's a way for them to go ahead and deliver on something so they don't have to give people their refunds. I, tinfoil hat, think all of this stuff is like 80% done anyways. And instead of just nuking the last 20% and giving everybody their money back, saying, hey, we're just going to slap this stuff out here and you guys are going to like it, and then we're going to shut the game down. Just that way they can get around having to give people their money back for the deluxe editions and pre-orders and this and that and everything under the sun.
They never gave a clear roadmap for this game.
Not really.
But from the way the game ends, there is obviously supposed to be more story content that is added to this game. I don't think they're 80% done. I think they're 50% done, and they've got the characters done. And the seasons are going to be the characters. Already, we've got Joker, then we're going to get Mr. Freeze because they teased that, and then there'll be 2 more, and then they'll be done. And they're probably finishing up those 2 characters, but they're not, like, I think the planned content for this game in the first year was much greater than what we're going to see, but they haven't ever actually promised that content, so they don't have to give it to us. I will say this, just in my opinion, if a game is a games of service game and it launches, it should be out for a year. You should be giving it service for a year. You should prepare to give it service for a year. I don't think it's fair to not. Even if it's a premium priced game like this was, or Skull and Bones, or any of these games, I don't think that, like, cutting your roadmap off and stopping is fair. You are trying to make a games as service game, and as I've said, games as service game require trust. You do not build any trust by not releasing the stuff that you promised, and I think this is a way to salvage some of that trust from Warner Brothers. I think, hey, if we at least release all of this stuff and nobody's playing it, we can shut it down and be like, we tried with that one and it didn't work, we're going to go over to this one. Which I'm not saying anything good about this game, but that is a positive, because there are people who purchase this game. There are people who deserve to receive those 4 seasons that were promised. And they're not going to receive what we all thought they were going to, I'll say that, but there are still probably people playing that game who want to see it.
Yeah, and those 20 people are really looking forward to the shit that's coming after that game.
You want those 20 people to buy your next game, you better give them those 4, you know what I mean? Like, you want that. And I'll tell you another thing, the people who aren't playing it, the people other than the 20 who are watching this story are also taking note that they're continuing the 4 seasons and they're dedicated to it. So they're thinking to themselves, the next time they release something that I am interested in that doesn't look like a train wreck fire, I can get it because they're going to at least be committed to that year. Again, I am not trying to argue for this game being a success or Warner Brothers doing the right thing, but on a whole, staying with a games as service for at least a year is the right thing to do to make a games as service model as a company. Because you have to establish that trust, you know?
100%. So, the last one that I have here is been little bits of information about the Borderlands movie. So, they did release that little clip not too long ago. It was like a 1.5-minute, 2-minute clip from the movie. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people are likening it to a bad SNL skit, which is just great right from the jump. It's funny because that's kind of the thought that I had too whenever I watched it, like just how it was shot. But from there, I feel like the movie itself kind of got kneecapped a little bit, because in it, the infinite need to appeal to as many people as humanly possible, the movie is only getting a PG-13 rating.
Oh, fuck that. Movie's dead. Movie's dead. Anybody who's played Borderlands knows why that movie's dead if it's a PG-13 rating. That's like giving Deadpool a PG-13. It does not work. It does not work, and it does not happen.
Yeah, the games themselves are very much M-rated games. Very hard M games.
Yeah.
But nope, it's going to be PG-13 for the movie.
That's a mistake. That is the biggest mistake.
I think the best reviews of this movie are going to be that it's inoffensive.
Which is bad if you're a Borderlands fan, because Borderlands should be a little offensive. Like, that's that's the counterculture stuff that it kind of does. It should offend some people. Like,
I'm thinking that from what it sounds like, if I were to make a guess as to where it's going to fall on Rotten Tomatoes, I feel like it's gonna
the green squishy.
The green squishy. I think it's gonna be at like a 52 or something like that.
That's
even
old man.
For the audience score.
It's the green squishy, right? It means it's bad. It's bad if it's the green squishy. Bring Daddy a new diaper.
IGN's probably gonna give it a 7. I'm sure. Yeah,
I don't know. IGN is really hard on their movies. They're not nice to their movies. I don't like their movie reviews because their movie reviews are like 2s and 3s and 4s for movies I like. I'm like, hey, that was pretty good. Shut the fuck up. Like, they're brutal on the movies. Like, the games, it's like, oh, who cares? But the movies, I think it's because they'll get to see the movies, like, because they go to see them at a festival or whatever. So, like, they'll get to... There's nobody holding the movie above their head. So they're like, we're going to go watch it and then just tear it a fucking new asshole because nobody's going to stop us, you know? Whereas the games, they won't give you advanced copies if you tear their shit up, you know?
Right. Yeah, it's funny when you look at a game review and a movie, both from IGN, they will talk about the game or the movie in the same exact way.
Yeah.
Like, especially like with the game, it's like, oh, this sucks. I couldn't stand this, but, you know, here and there, it made me laugh and I enjoyed things.
Right.
8, 9 out of 10. Same exact thing, you know, it would
4, 5, 6.
4,
Yep.
5,
Yep.
6. Yeah.
They're not as straight with the ratings.
And I think that
movies.
it does have something to do with the fact
I
that
really
the
do.
movie in that game.
The movie guys on IGN, movie and TV guys on IGN are insane. And I gotta be honest, sometimes they're just way too hard on shit. Like, way too hard on shit. One of my favorite Doctor Who episodes from this season, they gave like a 4. I was like, Jesus, guys. Yeah. So yeah, that's gonna be terrible. I mean, just to wrap it up, Borderlands is supposed to offend everybody. Like, it does. Yes. Like, if you play those games, like, there are missions where they specifically go out of their way to offend this type of person that they haven't offended yet. And then there's other missions where it's like, we're definitely going to offend these people now. You know, like, not to get into politics, but politics spectrum, same thing. You play those games, like, somewhere you're going to be mad at something they do. That's the point of those games. They're there to be kind of counterculture and make people mad and be kind of edgy. You know, like, that's what they're supposed to do. You can't do that with a PG-13. You know, you just can't. That movie's going to suck. I'm going to say it.
Yeah, it's definitely not going to be great. That said, I'm probably still going to go see it one way or...
I don't go to movies anymore. I'll see it on streaming 2 weeks after it comes.
Yeah.
That's it then.
Yes, sir.
Let's plug and be done.
Yes.
Horrible Gaming Podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to the end of the show and the shameless self-promotion that comes with it. Neil, would you like to plug anything?
So you may have noticed a little while ago we talked about doing
failure
stream.
Failure biscuits.
Yeah,
could not get it to work, and it worked in the day.
Weird. It was so weird. So Zach got on ahead of time and was actually on doing stuff, getting ready for it. I had gotten home from work because of when I got off of work. I had like a 20-minute window where I just had to eat food and then come downstairs. So he was getting ready. We were upstairs eating. Very apparent that he was on. So great, cool. He's on. Kayla gets on to get stuff set up, and then I get down here to go to get stuff set up. We're ready to go, just trying to get the game joined in. And I can't remember exactly what happened.
I could not get the game to open.
Load.
It would not open. So like,
even though it was like there, yeah.
I was in it. I pre-did a bunch of stuff, but then Neil and Kayla weren't going to be on for another half hour. So I got out of it and played Streets of Rage 4. Then I tried to go back into it, and it was just no fucking way. I fought with it for an hour, and I could not get this thing to load. I don't know what it wouldn't get past the loading screen. So like, I don't know what the fuck happened in that 20-minute period, but like, somewhere along the line, my computer was like, nope, can't do that shit. Just can't do it. So I don't know. I might try and see if I can't get it running again. The problem is though, is like, when you schedule stream, you set up the game that you're going to have there. You set it up with a picture, you set it up with a streaming at this time and everything. So, like, if you don't do that game, it's pretty fucked up, And, like, we were an hour late trying to figure out another game to play. We couldn't find one. and then I just cancel it. But at the same time, like, part of me is like, if I get it to work now, is it gonna work when we go to stream? And like, I don't want to set up another stream that I have to cancel after being late 40 minutes, you know? So I don't know. We'll think about it. I don't want to give up on this because I know Neil really wanted to do it, but we'll figure something out. We will stream again soon. We are also looking at other possibilities.
I was gonna say we did kind of come up with some stuff.
Yeah, some other possibilities.
Pal
World
came up, yeah, which
Pal
actually
World. I don't know
for
if you
some
guys are
reason
gonna like that one again, no. But Pal World, and then we talked about potentially doing Baldur's Gate 3 if we could make that work.
Did you get that other one that I sent you the other day?
That one looks amazing, but I know that's only on PC. That can't possibly have. Oh,
it's split screen.
Well, yeah, but could you play split screen while I play with you?
That's the next question.
Because I would do that. I would 100% do that with you guys. That would be an amazing fucking stream.
It's only like $5 too.
Oh, that's even better. It's a game where you're all chained together and it's third person, and you have to like jump up stuff, right? Like it's a platforming game where you're all chained together.
Third person platformer, but we all have to work together because we're all attached to each other.
Yeah.
So that would be very interesting.
I would be down with trying that 100% if there is a way to play it like locally online too, you know?
I'd have to see, yeah.
But yeah, as far as me, I have a couple of new things to plug. They are on the tabletop role-playing game side of our channel, so bear with me. Mondays, we have launched our Doctor Who actual play. I put a lot of work into this one. So have the person playing my kind of like Time Lord and the person playing the companion. We got Hope Child and Aether Dios from Hope Child's from the TMNT stream. Aether Dios is from Astral Drive, and it's 9-episode series. The longest episode is 3 hours and 20 minutes, but most of them are 1 to 2 hours long. And very proud of this show. I'm very proud of this show. I'm very proud of the music. I'm very proud of everything. It is coming out on Spotify and YouTube on Mondays for the next few weeks. The first one is already out. Actually, when you're watching or listening to this, the second one will have been out too. So I'd love everybody to check that out. The other thing, TTRPG again related, my 8-year-old daughter has decided to try and play role-playing games for the first time with me. We are playing an ultra simple system called Touchstone, which you can actually get for free on itch.io. It's made by somebody named Cyrus Wright, really cool person. Yeah, the first episode is dropping this Saturday. They're called Bite-Sized Games. So we play for about 2 hours, maybe an hour, maybe two, and I cut them into 15 to 20-minute episodes. So they're easy to digest. They're quick little things. The first episode, I think, is the longest episode at 22, maybe 26 minutes, somewhere in there, and we create the world that we're going to be playing in. And then every episode after that, we create characters. It's 15 minutes, 16 minutes, stuff like that. And they're going to be every Saturday, starting this Saturday. So please check that out. It's called Bite-Sized Games, and Stella's really fun to play with. The world we create together is fucking insane. So that in itself will be entertaining. Other than that, I got tons of stuff coming out, both on the video game side and the TTRPG side. You guys, please check that out. You can also buy our shirts on wizardsdressbite.com. Please go there. Please check that out. I'll try and put a link in the description. And other than that, you guys can reach us on Facebook at OldManGamingDH, on X at OldManGaming9. You can contact us on Discord. You can influence all of our shows from there by joining the link. It's in the description below. As long as you keep watching and listening, we'll keep making it, and we'll see you guys next week. Let's plug and be done.
Yes.
Man, that sounds like I was going to bang you. Pause!
Oh.
What?
I just said, oh.
It's just the way I said that was not... Let's plug and be done.
And what's terrible is because I didn't sleep well at all last night because it was so fucking hot here. Our air conditioner ran all night before it finally got down to like the right temperature. Yeah. So it was just hot all night, and I'm just sitting here staring into the middle distance, trying to stay awake.
I get it.
And you said that, and I'm like, wait, what?
Like, what?
What happened? What did I miss?
We can't have sex. We live too far away.
That's the point of that. That's what I gleaned. You're right. That was the first thought that came to my head.
All right, going in 3, 2, 1.
Do
you want to hear my Zelda rant?
Entirely. Yes.
Okay, so I'm sitting there, I'm watching it, right? And like, I want to preface this by saying I don't think they meant it this way. But they're like, we're doing this with Zelda, so we wanted to try out a new system. Like, the guy is on the screen. The old guy's on the screen. Like, we want to try out a new system, a new way of playing than just the old one. So she's not going to have a sword or shield. She's going to have this wand. And I couldn't help but sit there and think to myself, like, okay, so you're finally putting a girl, a lady, in the helm, and she's got to do all of her fighting in a fucking dress with a magic wand like she's Sailor fucking Moon? We can't...
Yeah.
Like, the thing is I don't think they meant it this way. You know what I mean? To me, I feel like they were like, we want to try something new. This is something new. This is a chance to do something new. But at the same time, I'm like, why can't she fight with a fucking sword and shield? I don't know. It's a sword, man. Long as she can lift it, who gives a shit? It'll kill when she hits with it. Why does it fucking matter? Like, I don't know. And then, like, when I watched them playing, I'm like, why is she in a fucking skirt? She wasn't even in a skirt and Wand of Gamelon. Like, why is she running around in a ball gown? like fighting things? And then they actually show the clip of like her getting monsters to do her fighting for her, and I'm like, man, like, I don't know, like, I'm not trying to be hyper feminist about it or anything like that, but it just, to me, I was like, why are we making, why, you know? Like, I understand you're trying to do something new, but like, I don't know, it just felt a little insensitive to me in a way.
No, I get what you're saying there with it. I feel like they had a different, perfectly great opportunity directly in front of them. In that it's always heavily implied that Sheik is Zelda. Just do fucking Sheik.
Yes!
Just do
Please.
Sheik. Just like straight up confirm it. Just like, oh no, Link's gone, and then like have her do her like little pose and transform into Sheik, and then play as Sheik. Or one step beyond that, give you the two play styles.
Yes.
If you want to run up and punch dudes in the face, go ahead, run up and punch dudes in the face.
You're doing an open world. I think it would have been really cool to make it like 3 or 4 different play styles. You know, you got the echoes. You can also do sword and shield, or you can do like a stealth rogue type thing. Try that shit out for a change, instead of like just like pigeonholing the lady into a pink dress with a magic wand. You know, like, I don't know. It just to me, like, I don't feel like they meant it to come off that way, but it came off that way a little bit to me, and that just soured it a little bit. As much as I am excited for this game, you know, I don't know.
Yeah, no, I get it. I
didn't want to rant about that because I was just like, I don't know.
No, yeah, I also get that too because you know,
I don't know. I don't want to get a fight with somebody
the way that it is.
Yeah. Ladies should blah blah blah, and I just don't even want to have that conversation, you know. Yeah. But it's just I don't know. You see what I'm saying though? Like, it just,
no, I do. Yeah,
it just came off a little weird. Like, I don't feel like they meant it that way, but at the same time, I'm like, come on, man, you can't at least put her in a fucking pants, like
just pants. Why not pants?
Look, I have nothing against dresses. You cannot jump from platform to platform in a pink ball gown. You will fall, you will die. Like, it is not tactically sound attire for questing. No. You know, like, that's just my thing. Like, I don't know.